Flat Earth? Is anybody else still here?
Why would they lie?
Why would they lie? Why would they lie? Witsit live right now. I was thinking about going over and checking them out. I think he is.
Nah, he's done now. Last
Is he?
half hour ago. Yeah.
You should check it out.
Yeah.
Who is this? Pat Floyd.
Even I was watching it early morning. Here.
I didn't get
What's
that.
his stream about?
The Golden Dawn, in brackets DON, Dawn. He was talking about whatever happened in America last night.
Okay,
So
right.
just like the guy talking right now was saying, I also don't follow politics that much. Rather, just a bird's eye view. Just a bird's eye view I try to keep, but I don't get into the details of it much. So I would love to listen to what's your opinion, people from America. What do you think about what happened last night?
Well, it's still happening. It's still tonight here in America.
I'm sorry, it was it was night for me. It was morning for you guys.
I think they're still deliberating on everything. I'm going to go in and check on that in a sec. But yeah, it seems like there was an obvious. There's several incidents that were questionable about the voting and votes coming in. And if anybody just looks at it objectively and doesn't have any kind of sway towards one or the other, you'd say this doesn't seem right. The guy that's like one of the most unpopular candidates ever would get the most votes ever for presidents. For any out of any president, like 80 million votes or something ridiculous, more than Obama, who was like followed by swarms of people, as well as even Trump was. He's got his crowds. It just on the surface, you just have to look at it and go, this doesn't make any sense. And the fact that they're just like ignoring it, across the board, and both sides of even on Fox News, they're acting like it's legitimate sometimes. That it was all like on the up and up. That we can't threaten the sanctity of the votes. But I think it's all scripted. They're all working together, and the whole idea is to try to get the ID attached to your votes. They're going to go to a totally different system of voting from here on out. And I don't know how they can justify changing the voting system if this election was legitimate. So they almost have to make this election, proven to be illegitimate, so they can then attach the vaccination ID to it or whatever they're going to do. Then you have to show your ID when you vote. Actually do it in person, and then it'll be on paper. There's going to be no digitizing to it. So people will reinvest in their trust for the system that way. But then they're going to be subjugated in the process. So it's kind of a ploy to get people to get the ID that has their information that they want on it. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I told my friends or my flat earth people in India that Trump is going to win, and that was a shocker for them. Now everything is there out there in mainstream news and everywhere in social media as well. So how can now Trump? You are saying that Trump could win. So after a point,
I don't know that after today, it seemed kind of doubtful because of the whole act that happened. They're kind of blaming the intruders, the people that came into the Capitol, as the reason that they're not sustaining the objections to the votes. I'm not sure what the process is, but I think Pennsylvania might be the one that'll be the sent back, and then I don't know I think that means the whole thing has to just be one electoral vote per state. In that case, Trump would win, I guess.
Yeah, after a point, sometime in December, I stopped talking about it and told all people that let's just wait for 20th Jan. And 6th Jan also, 6th January also was an important date, and something big really did happen. Let's see how it
Yeah.
turns out, but yeah.
It seems weird because you think it has to be scripted, right? They're telling us the Earth's a spinning ball, so it's not like they're not all in on it. So it's not like this is some kind of like decision by some person that was miffed about
Oh
the
yeah,
intrusion.
totally,
It has to
totally.
be scripted ahead of time. So
Yeah,
why would they script?
no
Why would they
doubt
script
about it.
Biden as the winner? It doesn't even make any sense. Unless they
Exactly.
really want, unless they really wanted to just like take, if they really wanted to end all of what America thinks they stand for through this bonehead
My
they call
God,
Trump.
I don't understand the hypocrisy, in your face hypocrisy in America. For example, just like someone said, Fox News. So I don't understand how in the same news channel there are few people like Tucker Carlson and a few more who support Trump, and then in the morning shows or in other at other times in the same news channel they're talking about Trump losing and Biden being the legitimate
Right.
winner.
Yeah, it's weird. There's total contradictions. Not that Trump's not great at that himself, but it's weird that, I mean, it just you could put that whole hypocrisy back on Trump in a lot of ways because, like, why? This is the reason I think it doesn't make any sense to script it for Biden to win because they need to balance. They need to keep the QAnon tards and the Trump tards, and balanced out with the Dem tards that are, thinking that it's all Trump's fault.
Gotta keep the Dems angry.
Yeah, he's going along with it. He's going along with it. We've been locked down under him, so he's going along with it, but acting like he's against it. Why would they give that formula up? That's brilliant. Keeping everybody with the gun at bay and calm because they think Trump's going to do something to save them.
So the Q phenomenon is already an open secret. But do you think in the next 2 weeks it's going to become crystal clear to everyone?
Well, it's the perfect tool as well because no one knows exactly who QAnon is. They can put out subterfuge all the time and confuse people on both sides to so you don't know who it is that's saying what and what to follow or what to believe, and so it's like a riddle wrapped in a enigma or whatever they say. So it works to their favor because there's no official Q message that source that they can go to and say this is what Q said and now it's not true. But then there's direct things that Trump and other people have said in a speech where QAnon's predicted he's going to say this and he says it. So it seems like there's a direct military tie to Q in some form or fashion, whether it's one person or a group, just the military intelligence or what. But I don't know. Trump promised is going to be like a bunch of stuff revealed. And so, I don't know how they're going to keep those people interested. If they put Biden in, then it's got all these militant people getting like self-reliant. It'd probably be the best thing for the country in a way because people would fucking just hunker down and get defiant instead of just going along with it because Trump does it. But I don't know. It's a very interesting thing. They're displaying all of the processes for us to see.
Yep, I was talking to a 19-year-old guy in India, a young mind, and when I told him about all these things about QAnon and his Q drops or posts or whatever, so do you know what his first question was? He asked me, has he said anything about flat Earth? So I told him that whole thing about him being asked directly, is the Earth flat? And he answered no, and all those things. So
yeah,
yes, again, it doesn't have any meaning. I don't.
Right. Well, I mean, then it could be. I've heard that people say, well, technically it's not flat. You got hills and valleys, so that his answer is not conclusive. He's not saying it's not. He's not saying it's a ball either.
Mm.
Semantics. Flat's not a shape, The whole argument's kind of been pigeonholed in this flat versus round or sphere.
Yeah,
round's not a shape. Round's not a shape. Flat's not a shape. They're just descriptions of shapes.
Yeah. I used these exact same words in a group of 60 odd people last night. I was added to that group, and there are flat earthers, globe earthers, as well as people on the fence on that group. So I haven't heard any rebuttals. I just poked a few subtle.
Was that over at Jim Pandas or something?
No. It's
Oh,
a WhatsApp group in India.
oh, okay, okay. So
Everyone
you
from
got people, a
India.
lot of people
Yep.
interested there now. Okay.
Yep. So we have a role to play now.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about it is that it would really implode the system here. It's like a double-edged sword. You want the truth, you want to get the truth out for people to know, but then once critical mass is actually reached and this actually does become a thing, like a good joke that everybody's heard, and they just know that we're not on a spinning ball anymore, then there'll be a big change in the, it's almost like it's a self-implosion type thing because then it'll defund a lot of programs and the trust will go down and the way that NASA kind of works, or just the idea of the space religion, kind of lets people have non-secular option.
And this whole corona bullshit has been a blessing in disguise for that purpose.
I guess so, yeah, because people are actually on their computers and studying and looking up shit. And the truth, the deception's so big that they're seeing that there's another deception that's even bigger. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's how I met other flat earthers in India. So before that, I used to be a flat earther, but I did not know any person whom I've met in India. But
It could be argued that the Great Awakening was also part of the script they wanted to,
yeah.
dawning of the age of Aquarius and all of that.
Yep,
Telling the truth about
100%.
water and the age of Aquarius would make sense.
Hmm.
I thought that they probably are going to mix the UFO conspiracy with the flat Earth conspiracy, and they'll reveal the aliens, but they're not from other planets; they're just from outer ponds. And then they can use that, say that we're surrounded by other civilizations, and that we have to unite as one world to defend ourselves. And then they'd have real-time gods with these spaceships or blue beam or whatever they use. They could just control us that way. It might be that might be the great truth being revealed at some point. And even though it's probably just them faking as those civilizations because they have the tech to do it now. It may not even be outer ponds, but then the flat earthers won't know because if it's done well enough and the tech is like 10 times that of anything we've ever seen because they downgrade all the shit they show us almost on purpose to get us to get to this point. And then 9/11 was almost a stepping stone to get to flat earth. And that was controlled on both sides with the, 9/11 truth movement being a controlled opposition, it seems. So what is this all leading to? Is to wake us up to realize what and for what reason? What could this possibly be? Like, what's the reason for revealing all of this? Well, maybe so they could get to the outer ponder / UFO invasion, and then we don't know what to believe because at least they're not telling us we're on a spinning ball. We can't confirm for ourselves whether those ships are real or if they're from outer ponds or if they're from here. We wouldn't be able to, test it ourselves.
Yeah, I knew about 9/11 or other conspiracies, the moon landing hoax, even before I got into flat Earth. But I was never led to go out and tell people about it. That that the moon landing was a hoax. It could come up in an argument, in a discussion somewhere, but I wouldn't go out and tell people about it. But after flat Earth epiphany, I
Right.
felt the need to
Realization.
tell other people. Yep.
Yeah. It does seem like the right thing to do. And they know that. I'm sure they had test groups. If Flat Earth was a rollout, and they did this on purpose, they probably knew exactly how people were going to react. And we were all surprised that the people we thought would want to know don't want to know. They just don't want to know, most of them. Even if they know you're right, they'd rather not know. Even after they realize that you were right about 9/11, they still don't want to know about this and think you're crazy, even though they totally gave that idea up when they admitted that you were right about 9/11. So it's interesting. This one's deep. This one, people just
Plus,
can't do it.
it's so much interesting. I mean, flat Earth is all about the nature of reality,
Yeah,
the nature of our being, and that's the
right,
most interesting thing you could talk about,
right.
and the
That's
most
what drives us
basic
crazy.
things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How could
So
you
it's
not be interested in that?
reality is 100 times more interesting than any movie, any fiction
Yeah,
ever.
exactly. Yeah, I'm a writer. I'm a creative writer, and when I found out about 9/11, just that looking into all of this, yeah, reality did become a lot. It kind of it made fiction seem very pale in comparison. But now I'm inspired. Then Flat Earth inspired me to write again because it wasn't just about this, group of evil men that did this one thing that we can't figure out, and that there's no vision for the future of people trusting in the country and all that, because that goes out the window. It's a worldwide conspiracy now that you realize is all about this illusion that gives you the choice to have, this space religion just make you completely materialistic and atheistic, and I don't know. It's not really a choice for some of these people. They don't even realize it, but there's a whole thing the way it works. There's this. They justify it, I think, because you could just have, if you were never told that you're on a spinning ball, and you were always told that it's a dome and you're trapped here and there's a God and you have to follow his rules, then you would have nothing to wake up from. You just think that's true, whether it's true or not. So it's interesting. I don't know how to feel about whether, everybody waking up is going to solve the problem, because I think that's what they're trying to eventually get to, so that they can give you the solution. They're causing that problem is this dilemma of truth, and then their solution may not even be true. But it may be something you can't even tell is the answer to it or not. They may say, yeah, okay, the earth is flat, but now we're surrounded by outer ponders. Oh yeah, there's a God, and here's what the God's telling you to do. See, he's right there, and they have the blue beam technology showing you God's face in the sky, as a very crude interpretation of what they could do. But basically, they could do whatever they want. They just give you the truth. They use the truth to sell the lies. So if we're expecting that just everybody figuring it out is going to force them to tell the truth, I don't think that's true. I think that they want us to demand the truth so they can give us more lies. But lies we can't debunk, because it's not based on some kind of natural science that we prove or disprove to ourselves. But the revolution's already happened, in each of us individually. It's not about everybody getting on the same page, because then that takes some kind of council or government to tell everybody what the page is. If you figured out that, this is that is not the spinning ball, then that gives you the open door to, to discover what it is and find your own truth and find however deep you can go with it. But stop relying on some government to give you the answer, like they're being forced to tell you the truth, because you can never expect that from them, ever. And that's the liberation, but then the trap of it all, because you can't rely on it, any longer. You can't find some kind of unity that you can rely on or expect.
Yeah, but most people, even before they are 100% sure that the earth is flat, they want to know what it actually is. And they ask such questions. Do you have a model? Can you explain all these things? Do you really know what the sun, the moon is? Because they have an explanation on the other side, on the globe side.
Right.
So they also seek an explanation. Yeah.
But the thing is even if you could explain, like, what it is, like, what is, like, compared to what? You would have to know what something else is to know what this is. How is anyone to say how far it extends? Because if you ever got to the point where it didn't extend any longer, then what would that be on the other side? A non-reality? That's why I argue it almost has to be an infinite plane by default until proven otherwise. Because even if you got to like a dome, on the other side of that dome is going to be what? More of a reality, and that was not going to be an upside down reality, because that doesn't make any sense to believe in. So it has to be an infinite plane until you get to another barrier, and then that barrier could be. You're not going to reach out through that barrier, and your arm's going to be in a void of non-reality. There's got to be something on the other side. So how could there ever be a stopping point, philosophically or literally? So you can't. The whole argument's been pigeonholed into us having to declare what this whole thing is, which is technically impossible, because you don't know what it is compared to anything else, and a stopping point is a paradox. So you can only define what it is to yourself. And it, obviously, our experience is a level plane. That's not an assumption. That's just what it is. There's no belief there. And you shouldn't be required to define the whole thing, because that's the whole reason that this conversation seems like a limited one. Because they're trying to make you define the whole thing. And that's, to say it's flat even is ridiculous, because it's not even true. There's hills and valleys. You know, a level plane, that's all you can assume. People don't walk upside down. There's no reason to believe that anymore. It's more about giving up a belief rather than taking one on. But they've made it have to be something that we say we believe. And you don't have to do that if you don't call it flat. You don't say flat earth. The whole term flat earth is kind of tainted in